Jim, you wanna?
Yep. Sorry, it's story time. And I know it's not planned, it's not the way it should go, but I can't help it because it's on my mind. It's on my mind. I have to explain this. This is a little story I have to tell you. It's called Wild Irish Rose's Revenge. Now, Wild Irish Rose is a wine, but unlike typical wines, to explain it best would be to say that you drink a lot of wine, you find yourself waking up and going, who the heck is that next to me? And you drink a lot of Wild Irish Rose, and you'll find yourself waking up and saying, what the hell is that next to me? That's kind of like the big derivation, if that's a real word, which it isn't, but I don't care, of Wild Irish Rose versus regular wine. And on this particular night, I had to work at 8 in the morning the next day. So I knew I couldn't party too hard, you know? So I thought to myself, I want that craziness. I want that wild, crazy, out of control feeling you get from Wild Irish Rose. So I came up with an idea. What I would do was drink a small bottle, a tiny little bottle, harmless. Just enough for the insanity, just enough for the madness, but not enough to get me, you know, too drunk so I can't wake up in the morning. Good plan. I remember looking at that wine and saying, I beat you! I beat you, Mr. Wild Irish Rose! I'm bigger than you because I'm the man and you're just the bottle and I can stop you, I can master you. The next thing I remember, I'm waking up in the elevator in work. And I know I'm at work. I know I'm in the elevator. What I don't know, because there are no windows on that floor, is it daytime? Is it nighttime? Should I be here or is it still late night? How did I get here? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I know something is wrong with me. But I'm not quite sure what that is either. I decided my best bet is to knock on the door. Now, I should explain at this point what I did for a living. What I did for a living at the time was I was a personal care assistant, which means I go to people's houses and I help people who are handicapped or people who are too old, can't take care of their house themselves, and that's personal care assistant work. And this is someone's house I'm supposed to be at 8 o'clock in the morning, although for all I know, it's 3 o'clock at night. I don't know. I'm not sure. I figured I'll wing it. I knock on the door. And there, when the door opens, it still gives me horrors, a 6-foot talking penis. Now, I know that I should react, probably run away, but then this other voice in me says, you know what? This might not be real. And the best bet is if you just ignore it. So I ignore it, as I ignore everything. And I just walk in, and I say, hi. Not sure what to say to a 6-foot talking penis. The 6-foot talking penis, by the way, turns to me and says, I'm really sorry we're running late, man. I'll be out of here in a minute. Then he begins to build a bomb shelter. I'm not quite sure what that's all about either, but I decide I shouldn't ignore it. But I do take a quick glance to make sure that nothing is sneaking up behind me. And he thinks I'm weird. He looks at me, the 6-foot talking penis, and is like, what are you doing, man? Which is a little too bizarre when coming from a giant phallic thing. But I just ignore it, as I ignore everything, because something is wrong and I haven't figured out what it is yet. So he finishes up and begins to get dressed. And this is when it all starts to get a little clearer to me. He's not a 6-foot talking penis. He is actually a man wearing just his shorts, his boxer shorts. And for some reason, seeing that much exposed flesh, my brain had nothing else to process it to except for, well, a 6-foot talking penis. So at this point, I'm realizing that ain't true. And the bomb shelter I thought he was building was actually he was shoving pillows behind our client. I sit down, he leaves. It's now my turn. I'm on the job, and something is wrong. At this point, I've figured out that I am most likely tripping. How? Why? I don't know, but I have figured that out. But there's this other feeling. There's this other feeling, and I don't know what that is. He asked me to roll him, so I got to roll him. I go behind him, and I'm moving him into position. Now, he has this urinal that holds in place in case he goes at night. And as I roll him in position, I start to see what looks like a little liquid coming out from below him. I realize, oh, no, urinal spilled. Uh-oh, I got to deal with it, you know? But then it starts to get thicker and thicker and stronger until it's like a waterfall, a big yellow waterfall just pouring off the side of the bed. It's filling up. I can feel it on my feet. I think I'm going to drown in it. And I go, this can't be real. So I ignore it and just walk and sit down on the couch, hoping that either soon it will all disappear or we would drown. And either way, I would never have to really deal with it. At this point, I realize what the other feeling is. It's a cheap wine hangover. A cheap wine hangover mixed with, well, to put it bluntly, tripping tends to enhance everything, including a cheap wine hangover. So, I'm dealing with a cheap wine hangover. I'm peeking out, and I'm trying to figure out what happened to me last night. This is when it all starts to come back in those little memories, as memories do. What it was I did just drink that little bottle, but then my friend came over, and he had firewater, which is another alcohol like Wild Irish Rose. So I start drinking the firewater. I share it with what's left of my Wild Irish Rose, and then he says to me, "What time do you have to be in work in the morning?" And I say 8 o'clock. And he says, "Great, the rave gets out at 7. For some reason, this makes complete sense to me at the time, and I go, "Great!" So we head off to Boston to go to this rave. Now, when I get to the rave, I know a lot of people. One thing leads to another. We pick a little something up, and hence where I find myself, sitting on a couch, waiting to have to do, well, what was known as bowel day at that point. I have to deal with this while peaking and feeling a cheap wine hangover. This is a level of hell even Dante cannot describe. I don't want to get too specific of what bowel day is about, but it involves a thing called digit stem. Digit means your finger. Stem is to stimulate. Put that word bowel together. I think you can do the math. Thank you for your time and your consideration.